All right, y'all, now we're about to get into the real tea. Child, I'm just so frustrated because I am trying to decide if I like this lip color. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe down below or click the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload. So today we will be reviewing Miss Colleen Hoover, Miss Coho as some call her. Her book, It Ends With Us. This book will be turned into a movie this year, I believe, and they just announced who will play the two main characters, Lily and Ryle. We'll get to my opinions on the casting in a minute, but with that announcement out, I felt like it will be the perfect time to review the book. There is a man dancing outside of my window. I will leave all of the spoilers at the end, so if you haven't read the book yet and you're on the fence about reading the book, you can watch this review and make your decision from there. And if you have read the book and you want to know the tea about my feelings, then I'll let you know at the end. Before we get into the review, I'm going to make a coffee really quick because I need one. I got all of my sauces from TJ Maxx and Marshalls. I highly recommend going there to get it. It's so cheap there. It's like $6. Look at my mug. It's so freaking cute. I got it from Target, I think. Yeah, I did get it from Target. It came with a set of 2 and it says coffee is my love language. This is their like seasonal mugs for the holiday. I'm gonna take my hair out of this ponytail because it is way too tight. This is so good. I also made these vegan Snickers. They're like vegan little Snickers, healthy version of the treat. You just take a date, put nut butter inside, dip it in vegan chocolate, and then add a little salt on top. I made these last night and I haven't tried them yet. This is so good. Comment down below if you want a video of me making these. It's so good. I feel like with Miss Colleen Hoover, you either love her or hate her and there's no in between. So I had to read this book to find out for myself if I liked her writing style and what all the hype was about. I also think this book, It Ends With Us, is like one of her most popular books. I think it was popular a few years back in like 2016, and then with the resurgence of TikTok and book reviews on TikTok, it blew up again and got even more popular. I think Kylie Jenner even posted this book in her story. With the book's popularity, there is a movie coming out later on this year. I'll talk about that more at the end of this review, but I just wanted to note that I truly believe it was the TikTok girlies who blew up this book for her and made the movie adaptation come about. I know she was already successful, but I really feel like TikTok is what was the driving force that made production companies want to make a movie about this book. So the main character in this book is named Lily Bloom. She lives in Boston, and when you first meet her in the book, in like the first chapter, she is on a rooftop of an expensive apartment building in Boston, and she meets one of the main love interests of the book, or you can say the main love interest of the book, Ryle. Ryle is a surgeon. He is very handsome. He is also very assertive and has a dark side. I will say before I go any further, please read the trigger warnings of this book. It does include domestic violence. I didn't read the trigger warnings before reading the book, but I did know that there was an undertone of domestic violence. So if that's triggering to you, I would say sit this one out. But if it's not triggering, just that element of the book makes the book more dynamic. I feel like one of the main criticisms that people have with Colleen Hoover's characters are they're one-dimensional, but I will say I do see growth in some of the characters in this book that I appreciate. So without spoiling too much, everything I've said so far is pretty much on the back of the book, but you see her going through this romance with this handsome, assertive guy named Ryle, and then you also learn a lot about about Lily and her past and how she did fall in love once before when she was a teenager with a guy named Atlas. When she was in high school, she met a homeless boy who also went to her high school who was staying in the house behind her. I'm not going to say too much, but he got kicked out of his home and he was displaced and living in the house behind her, and they started a relationship, and you learn about her through that experience in her diary entries. The main plot point of the book is that her diary entries, she was writing letters to Ellen DeGeneres, which I will say is a little bit dated in 2023. Some people hate it. I don't mind it. It was a little cliche, but all in all, it was funny. I grew up in the time when coming back from school, we were watching Ellen DeGeneres, so I related to it, so I didn't hate it. Basically, it's a story about how your past and your family will really shapes you. A lot of the stuff that she went through in her relationships mirror what she saw her parents go through, which I think was a really good element of the book. In the first chapter of the book, when she's on the roof and she meets Ryle, you learn that that day was her father's funeral, which was really troubling for her because she didn't have the best relationship with her father. Another thing that I really like about this book is it's quick chapters, so reading it will fly by. I love short chapters. That really makes me want to keep on reading. This story is located in Boston, but it can really be put in any other place in the world. It's easy to read, easy to understand, easy to relate to. A lot of people love Colleen Hoover's books because they're like that. I don't like books where I have to have a whole bunch of prior knowledge about a topic. I like books that I can just read, learn the story from the pages. I don't know, I don't need all that extra descriptive stuff to enjoy a book. I just love learning about people through the stories, and I love plot-driven books, and I would say this book is definitely plot-driven. And yeah, so that's everything I'm going to say about the book before I dive into spoilers. So click off this video if you haven't read the book yet, and then come back to see my tea on my true feelings about the book and everything else. All right, y'all, now we're about to get into the real tea, the spoilers, my feelings, and how I really feel about this book. So first off, I have to be honest, me and Colleen Hoover was beefing in the middle of this book. I was not happy at one point in this book, and I literally was about to TBR it. TBR is to be read. I mean, I was about to, what do you call it when you stop reading a book? I was about to stop reading this book and put it away because I was really frustrated because there was like a plot point in this book that I really don't like and is disgusting to me. So Ryle meets Lily on the rooftop. Y'all know that. At one point they keep on like running into each other and they're like seeing each other, but he doesn't believe in relationships. I think he mentions that very early on in the book, that he doesn't like relationships. He's a surgeon. He wants to worry about being the best person in his craft, but then he wouldn't leave her alone. At one point he came to her house. He said he knocked on every door in her apartment complex to look for her, and he's like, oh my god, I just need to sleep with you to get you off of my mind. What? You just sat in my face and said you didn't want a relationship. Now you're stalking me for me to sleep with you. And then finally she's like, all right, I'll sleep with you. And she gets in the shower because I think she got off work or something. She gets in the shower, she comes out, and she's like ready for it. She wants it, whatever. And this man is asleep in her bed. She was rightfully so frustrated because she's like, this guy keeps on like bothering me, but at the same time he's saying that he doesn't want a relationship and he doesn't believe in relationships and all this stuff. So that really pissed me off. There's more. You would think that I would wanting to put the book down during the domestic violence part, which was really like hard and like troubling to read, but just off the bat I was like, this isn't a good guy. This guy, something's wrong with him. He's a little bit weird. And I was ranting to my Instagram story. I'll put the post right here. I was ranting. I was like, why do people love this book? This isn't romantic. And also it was very insta-lovey, and I never knew that I was like a slow burn type of girly, but another book I read this year was slow burn and I loved it. So I'm like, oh my god, do I like slow burns? now. I need to see y'all fall in love. I need to see y'all fall in love, and it needs to be genuine and sweet, and y'all need to spend time together. You can't just instantly be passionate about somebody. I don't know. If you are, it has to be really explained well why you're like passionate about somebody. You can't just be passionate about somebody in a book just because he's hot and sexy and a surgeon. And he kept on talking about being a surgeon. Also, wealth is really a strange topic in this book because like him and his sister, they're just rich and life is so much easier for them because they're rich. It's a little bit cliche when the characters are just rich and they don't have to worry about any problems besides the problem in the book because they just have all this money. Besides that, when I got over the part where he didn't want to be in the relationship and they actually did start to fall in love and they even get married at one point in this book, I was like, okay, this is cute. This is cute. I can do this. I also have another controversial opinion aside from Ryle with Atlas. Atlas is very sweet personality wise. I really like him with Lily, but the thing that kind of threw me off, I think Lily was like 14 or 15 and he was like 18 when they first met, and you know, they started dating. I don't think they were official. The last time she sees him, they do the do, and I'm just like, isn't he a little too old? Side eye. No, let me Google it really quick to see how old Lily was, because I just remember reading it and I was like, she's too young for this. He was 18, but Lily was 15 and Atlas was 17. Then I think he turned 18 during the time when they met. I feel like that's a big gap. I didn't really like that. That's the only thing that I don't like about Atlas. But yes, throughout the book, first Ryle is an a-hole and he's like bothering her, but he doesn't want a relationship, but he's still bothering her. She works in marketing, I think. When she meets Ryle on the rooftop in the beginning, she tells him that she always wanted to own a flower shop. After that conversation, she decides to leave her job and open up a flower shop. Her name's Lily Bloom and she has a flower shop. People say that's cliche, but it's whatever. So as she's opening up her flower shop, one day a woman her age walks into the flower shop and they just become instantly best friends. Her name's Alyssa, I think. She comes to the flower shop. She's rich and bored and they just start talking and she's like, I want to work here. And later on we find out that this girl is actually sisters to Atlas, which is, I guess, their plot point of how they're always together because she's best friends with his sister. So they become very close, and then early on there was signs of something wasn't right about him. The first instant when he was violence towards her was very crazy to read because you're reading it from her point of view. So they're cooking and he takes something hot out of the oven and burns his hands, and then she starts laughing because he burnt his hand. She didn't mean it in a bad way. It just was like funny how everything happened, and out of nowhere this man slaps her and she's like, what the fuck? She's flabbergasted because she's like, huh, like why the fuck would you slap me? At first she's like debating with herself. She's like, how did this happen? One minute we were having fun, joking, drinking wine, cooking, and the next minute this man slaps me. Child. So he apologizes. He says it's never going to happen again. Of course it happens again. It's all started with like small instances like that before the big instance happened, that where she realized she can't be with this man anymore. They decide to get married in Vegas. They go to Vegas with her best friend who is his sister and her best friend's husband, and they made like promises to each other and everything like that. The big thing that happened in the book that was like crazy, where she realized she can't be with him anymore, is when they get into an argument. She runs into the guy Atlas, who I mentioned she met in high school, who was like homeless. One of the times she sees him, they go to his restaurant. The other characters don't know who he is, and she had like a black eye or something like that on her face. And when Atlas saw her, he got really angry because he knew that she already struggled with domestic violence when she was a child from her father. Her father never hit her, but her father used to beat up her mother, and Atlas was there on one occasion or two occasions when her father hurt her mother. Her father was like evil. At one point I remember reading the book and he like R-worded her mom, which was really traumatic for her. So when he sees her, and he knows her since she was a child, and he automatically knew that the bruise that she had to be from her partner. So she goes to the bathroom, he walks in, he's like, why are you with him. I know he did that to you. Long story short, he writes down his number and puts it on the back of her phone, in her phone case. So the big thing that really shows you how dark the main character Raul was he found the phone number in her phone and got upset, and long story short, spoiler alert, but he pushes her down the stairs. So it was just really crazy. At that point, the book was like, it was like a page turner. I was really interested in that point because I'm like, oh my god, like what is she going to do? Essentially, Raul's excuse is that, which is really dark, like the part that was really dark is he said he blacks out and he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he can't control himself. He said it's been happening since he was younger because, you know, he has a sister, he also had a brother, and one day him and his siblings were playing in the garage. They found the family gun and he had it in his hand and it went off and it shot his brother in his head. He was a kid and he was trying to put his brother's brains back into his head, and that's how he knew he wanted to be a surgeon. That was his excuse to Lily. Throughout the book, besides the abuse, he was very sweet to her, which is why I say it is actually a good book to read as a woman, so you can recognize the signs of domestic violence and how serious it is and how real it is. From that point, I would recommend this book. She does escape the relationship, so it can give women who go through domestic violence hope that you can leave, you can escape, you can get out of it. The crazy plot twist at the end, I don't know if it would be considered a plot twist. She finds out she is pregnant by Raul, so she has to make the decision if she's going to stay with him despite his abuse for her child, or if she's going to leave him. So the end is really sweet. I'm not going to spoil how she comes to her decision, but the way she came to her decision is very honorable. It was really nice to read, and at the end of the book, it really wraps it up. You realize why the book is called It Ends With Us. This was the most truest, best ending she could have done, because I thought the book was going to go in a different direction. I thought It Ends With Us meant something about love and romance, but It Ends With Us really had a deeply powerful meaning that I didn't expect. I thought it was going to go in a different direction. Based on that, I would say read the book. As for a love story, I would only give it a 3.5, which is a good rating, and I say it is worth the read. But I say like the first 2 paragraphs are really good. When you get to the middle of the book, when he's saying he doesn't want a relationship, that's when it's the most frustrating. I think after you get through page 80, the book really picks up and it gets really good, and I think those pages are worth it. I would say just read through the book, get to the first 80 pages, and then you're gonna really enjoy the story and it's really gonna grab you. But yes, that is my review of It Ends With Us. I'm actually reading It Starts With Us, which is her sequel. Everything I love about It Ends With Us is in Starts With Us so far, so I'm really excited about that. My sister actually got this for me for Christmas, so if you want a review of It Starts With Us, comment down below and I will give that to you guys. I think this book was more of a love letter to her fans. As I said before, TikTok really blew up her book, and I think TikTok was the driving force of why production companies wanted to pick up the book. So this was her love letter to her fans, and it's very sweet so far. Next, we gotta talk about this casting. When I found out that they were making a movie of the book, it's always like hard when you read a book and you envision characters in your head and then they make the movie and the characters are never perfectly what you envision. They're having Blake Lively be Lily and then some other man be Ryle. I forget who he is. I don't really know him. I'm kind of indifferent about him. I'll put him on the screen. Honestly, when I saw his picture with his long hair, I thought he would be better suited to play Atlas. Like when I saw his picture, I was like, oh, he's gonna play Atlas. Then I read it and it said Ryle. So we'll see how that goes. Everyone has been saying they felt like the character from Euphoria, I forget his name, I'll put him on the screen, would be better suited for Ryle. I agree, he would be better suited for Ryle, but he plays like younger characters, like high schoolers, and Ryle and Lily are in their early mid 20s, so I understand why they didn't go with him. But with Blake Lively, I'm just so frustrated because one of the main character traits of Lily is that she has red hair. I feel like they could have actually took the extra mile to find a person who like naturally has red hair and put them in the role. That's what is super like disappointing for me. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what Blake Lively do. Sometimes I get frustrated that Hollywood recycles the same actors for all of the roles. I wonder if like actors have like some type of contracts with production companies that they need to be put in certain amount of movies or something, but they always use the same people. And I'm like, there's so many talented actors. You can find somebody from Broadway, so many people. And I feel like when a character has a specific character trait, like having red hair or being dark skinned, I'm not saying they always have to match the character to the actress one-to-one, but in certain instances I wish they did that more. All right, I'm gonna end the video here and make myself something to eat because I'm starving. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe down below and click the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload, and let me know down below if you want to see more book review videos. See you.